Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this talk. This is Anthony Stewart. This is Food for Thought, and we're questioning everything they've ever said. And today, this is something that I've come to realize and notice quite often. When I started my health journey quite a few years ago, I was very much doing what they said. I was, trying to exercise my way into health. That wasn't working. As soon as I came to grips with I needed to change my diet, that's when the magic started happening. Now I've become, I've reversed disease, become the best, arguably the best physical shape of my life, like with low maintenance, easily. And it comes down to mindset, questions, awareness. Now, we often get thrown into the mix about the dogma, carnivore, vegan, all these diet, fad, whatever you want to call it. And since my life has made a turn, I'm now, I've started my own health coaching business, and I've got quite a few clients now with different situations, different reasons. And my life has led me to be doing laser acupuncture. I work at a clinic now where I'm dealing with people that come in, and you can argue if does it work or not. I'll tell you, I've seen miracles happen. And most of it starts with mindset, and most of it starts with an awareness or an awakening. And here's the hardest thing to deal with. When someone comes in for a problem, whether it's anxiety, depression, stopping smoking, my question, obviously, in my space is how what's your diet like? I ask them, or what are you eating? Most of the answers are, I eat healthy, and that's interesting because according to whom? That is the question. Now, if you're feeling amazing, thriving, life is vibrant, body is very responding, healthy, all the cliches, great. Probably don't have to change a thing. But for all the people that are suffering and dealing with issues that are so deep-rooted, a lot of times they call it bad luck, like, oh, poor you. Well, what if it was exactly what you're eating? And maybe what you're eating is no longer serving you because of the foundations. And that's probably the hardest thing to realize, is that according to whom? The food guidelines, the government, the medical system, a cardiologist, or even a nutritionist. And I urge people, my clients and my friends, my family, to question me. That starts the process. Question everything. And, I struggle sometimes because I just want to help people find their way, find their truth. And sometimes it's a bumpy road. It's not easy. Putting in the work is hard, and a lot of people jump into specifically the carnivore space, and they see these miracles happening all over the internet where whatever it is, weight loss or these things get resolved. Sometimes it's not that fast. Sometimes it does take a lot of work. Sometimes it takes a lot of trust to trust the process, and the answers sometimes can only be felt. But when you feel it, and you can build the momentum, and it's okay, we're all human. We all have our there's so many different variables that are unforeseen, whether you want to call it the environment, and when you start reverse engineering this stuff, it starts with, am I eating healthy? What is eating healthy? Now, you can go down the road of what they say on the package. Well, I'm getting these, I'm ticking all the boxes, I should be healthy, but if your body's not working properly, there may be something there. And it's really, really tough for me to explain to people. The first thing that you should look at is what you're being exposed to and what you're consuming. Now, my philosophy, if you will, is as close to God and Mother Nature intended. You can argue that, but I do believe, and I've seen this with people that adopt their version of a proper human diet. And hell, it can include vegetables, but what context? I see people come in and they just assume that they're eating healthy because they've been told or taught this. And the hardest thing to let go of is the fact that it may not be. And what I encourage people to do is learn about the foundations. Start with the basics. Essential amino acids, the proteins, the building blocks. Learn about what essential fatty acids are. And you look into the seed oils. It's just logic. People say that seed oils aren't that bad, but my argument is they've only been around for 100 years. And look at the way our health has deteriorated on a global scale. So cutting them out, if it's a magic a variable, wouldn't it make sense? So you can argue that seed oils aren't that bad, but in what context? When you can see that they cause dysfunction and they're already inflammatory. To somebody who's robustly, resiliently healthy, might not be as big of a deal. But when you're telling a sick person to eat more of these manufactured, profit-driven molecules to lower your chances of dying, that doesn't check the logic box for me. And I've seen it. When people start cutting out these things, they feel better. And that's not a coincidence. So that's one side of it. Then we look at essential minerals and vitamins. Where are you getting these essential nutrients from? You know, when you look at, and is there a place for antioxidants, carotenoids, flavonoids, polyphenols? Maybe. But what most of those bring to the table are anti-nutrients as well. And it's funny how the space says, lectins are bad. Just cook the shit out of the food and then you can eat them. But from where are you coming from? You may have to eliminate them completely. And a lot of times that elimination diet, which in our space, the carnivore diet, is a great way to get back to basics. There's not a lot of people that are allergic to meat. It's one of those things that you just have to look. Dairy, eggs, peanuts, all these allergenic foods, seafood. But what is the common bond would arguably be meat. And when you stop looking at meat from they say that it's bad for the planet, they say that it's bad for the environment, they say that it's bad, cruel to animals. Even if that were true, are you going to die because you're going to be there for the planet? Well, there's a that's the problem. And when we're starting from a virtue signal for everybody else and we're sacrificing our own health for that, regardless of what it is, and you're suffering, you can choose. You have a choice. Now, essential vitamins and minerals, where are the best sources from that? I've got my opinion, I've got my bias. You can ask anybody and they'll tell you broccoli is healthy. Is it though? In your context. How is your gut? How's your digestion? How's your skin? Instead of focusing on what everybody's telling you, maybe start thinking about it for yourself. Where are the best sources? So if you get your essential amino acids, your essential fatty acids, which essential means we must consume it in order for our bodies to function, not even thrive, function. We need these things. Essential vitamins and minerals. Why is it that is the last thing that we think about when we get a blood test and we get a marker and something, we're disease? Think about essential nutrients. Now, just because you're consuming it doesn't mean you're absorbing it. So we look at bioavailability. We look at gut absorption, gut health. All these things come into play. And then you have it's funny because you have these people, and I don't mean to say these people, I just mean this with, to best intentions, but they don't go deep enough. And they just assume that spelt bread is healthy for everybody. But from a broken place, from a broken start, all the health in the world is causing damage or dysfunction in your context. So when we choose a carnivore diet, what is happening essentially is we are eliminating all the noise and getting back to the foundations. Do I think everybody has to be a carnivore? No. I think it's a good idea. If anything, you learn about yourself. And it's not a coincidence that when people jump into this with both legs, and it happens, within the first 2 weeks, they give up because their body is in shock. You're eliminating, you're rebuilding, your tissues are letting go of toxins, whatever it is. What do you think's going to happen? You're probably going to feel like shit for a little bit. And that sort of fog time is going to be very different with everybody. And I really respect and value the courage and the fortitude of the people that stick by it because they trust themselves. Now, I can't do the work for anybody. I can't, help anybody. It's truly themselves. And they're taking my opinion or they're taking my guidance to steer them towards potential better outcome. And that's why everybody's a puzzle. And some people need to do things. If you just look at autoimmunity, like that's yourself is attacking yourself. Why? If it's possible to acquire disease, it's possible to heal. And when you let go of the fact that we must, and look at it from your perspective, that might not be you. And it's going to take a little trial and error. It's going to take a little searching to figure that out. And it's so hard, and I want to help people because I just want to hug them and say, it's not your fault. We've been programmed. Bruce Lipton talks about it all the time. Genetics, epigenetics. Your genetics can be predisposition for anything, but your epigenetics, above your genetics, the lifestyle, the life influences, your thinking, affect your genes. You look at Thomas Seyfried for cancer, and bless her heart, one of my coworkers, my office manager, has a son that's had some very bad news and a diagnosis, and we've sort of skimmed the surface of health and nutrition, but now it's to the point where he needs to understand some things, and I've sent her some information. And Thomas Seyfried, everybody should be aware of Thomas Seyfried and his theories on cancer, because what's the worst thing that can happen? You're already in a state of confusion, disease, trying things that are outside the box. When there's no hope on this side, it doesn't matter. Why not? And I sent her this thing, and it's obviously affecting her life because her son is now he's got this. It's real. And when I see people's minds just light up and go, wow, I didn't realize. This is the power. And you can take the power back. And I encourage you to question. Just ask the questions. Am I doing enough? If you are not healthy, why? What's going on? If you were born healthy, your body understands how to be healthy. And what we acquire along the way, this is from my heart, from my faith. I know your body can heal. And it starts inside you. Now, you may have your own things and your own thing. I can't tell you this or that. But what I can show you is to have an open mind. And there's so much information out there that you're going to have to discern for yourself. But the truth is inside you. And if you give your body the right building blocks, the right energy, the right nutrients, things are going to get better, And this is where I'm at, and I'm helping people find their way. And it's not just my program. It's not what I'm telling you. It's the speed bumps, the journey, and figuring it out for yourself. And when you know, because you feel, you can take control of it. And I can tell you till you're blue in the face, this is. But when you start to feel the difference and you start to look inside yourself, magic starts to happen and manifest and snowball. It's happening over and over again. I get people that say, I could never be a carnivore. Fine. Then they start just realizing some health things, and then they start gravitating towards meat and fat. And good on them. I'm not saying you can't be a healthy vegan. I'm not pushing this on anybody. I want everybody to be thriving. And the open mind starts with anything is possible. But what I found and where I'm coming from is what I've seen my body do, what I've seen other people around me do. And when that clicks, that's when it gets amazing. And you start to just build momentum through our hiccups, through our speed bumps. And the one thing I will encourage you, don't wait till you're desperate. And this is something that we should have been, I believe anyway, we should have been taught in schools. Our health has been hijacked by big food, big pharma, whatever you want to call it. And when your brain can function without brain fog, with full concentration, and it's limitless. And I can see from my life, I hated school. I hated learning stuff, really, to be honest with you. Now I read books. I listen to lectures. I take lectures from universities, from professors and doctors. And the science interests me because I felt it. So what I'm trying to do is bring this awareness to empower you that it's possible. And I've seen it. And it can be possible for you. Just have to trust in yourself and be an open mind. I eat healthy. What does that even mean? If you don't know what that means and you've just been told that your whole life, it came down to our parents, eat your vegetables. They just meant well, but they've been told something. And then if you look at essential nutrients, there's no essential carbohydrates. Is it possible to use them as a tool? Yes. We have a system in place in our bodies, but when your metabolic health has been overrun by constant elevated blood glucose and elevated insulin, if you don't understand that, how are you supposed to fix it? A drug? You know where that goes. Drugs beget more drugs. And sure enough, if you just look at what Dr. Paul Mason, bless his heart, I encourage anybody to listen to his lectures with the logic that comes out of this practicing medical doctor who has taken it upon himself to question things. Explains this. This is simple. We all get blood tests, okay? I encourage you to get your blood tests. What are the reference ranges? What do they mean? If your markers indicate something, the doctor reacts. But those markers, the normal reference ranges, are not the healthiest people, are not optimal human health. They are the general public average. So if you're measuring your health against the average person on the planet or in the nation that's unhealthy, what the hell do those markers mean? Food for thought. Go figure. Just think about that. And quite often, if you understand the context of how your body works, you can see disease before it happens and they don't test for it. That's a fact. You have diabetes or you don't, but you could see the process over years if we were aware of this. If you could understand what insulin resistance is, and I'm going to do a workshop on this soon for the layman. I want to try and relate this stuff to the normal person. And I think this one's getting a little long, so we're going to cut it there. Awareness, mindset. The power is yours. Stay strong.